In the spring of 2011, the most important clue in the hunt for Osama bin Laden was not a battlefield, a phone call, or a confession. It was a house. Inside a secure facility in Virginia, a small team of CIA analysts was staring at satellite images of a compound in Abbottabad, Pakistan. The compound was large, unusually large for the neighborhood. The walls were up to 5 meters high, topped with barbed wire. There were no phone lines running into the building, no internet connection. The residents burned their trash instead of putting it out for collection, and one specific person living there had never, not once, been seen leaving the property. The analysts had been watching this compound for months. They did not know for certain who was inside, but everything they saw kept pointing to the same conclusion. After nearly 10 years, hundreds of dead ends, and one of the most exhaustive manhunts in modern history, they believed they may have finally found Osama bin Laden. This is not the story of the raid that killed him. This is the story of how America found him. How do you find a man who has gone completely dark? No phone, no internet, no public appearances. In a country of more than 180 million people, after a decade of searching? After September 11th, the U.S. intelligence apparatus turned its full attention to one target. The resources deployed were unlike anything directed at a single individual before. The NSA was reportedly intercepting vast volumes of global communications. Satellite imagery and aerial surveillance were focused heavily on the Afghanistan-Pakistan border region. Informant networks were activated across dozens of countries. A $25 million reward was publicly offered for information leading to his capture, and for years, nothing came back. The reason was simple. Osama bin Laden had studied how America hunted people, and he had systematically removed every method they relied on. He stopped using phones entirely. No mobile, no satellite phone, no landline. He stopped using the internet. He stopped making video appearances that could be geolocated. He stopped communicating with his own network directly. He moved away from the border caves everyone was watching and disappeared into plain sight. Without a phone signal to trace, without an email to intercept, without a face appearing on a camera, the intelligence community's most powerful tools had almost nothing to catch. The analysts working the bin Laden file were not looking for a dramatic breakthrough. By the mid-2000s, they had learned to stop expecting one. Instead, they worked from a single strategic assumption. Bin Laden could not be entirely alone. Even deep in hiding, he needed to communicate, to issue guidance, receive updates, and maintain his role within Al-Qaeda. And to do that without touching a phone or a screen, he would need someone to carry messages physically, a trusted intermediary, someone who could travel, make contact, and return without drawing attention. The CIA had a word for that person: a courier. The search for that courier began not with a name, but with fragments. Analysts moved through thousands of interrogation reports, field assessments, and intercepted documents, looking for any reference to someone close to bin Laden's inner circle. Most leads dissolved into nothing. Most names were aliases attached to dead ends. Then, in 2003, a report from a detainee at a CIA black site, a name appeared: Abu Ahmed al-Kuwaiti, described as someone trusted above almost everyone in bin Laden's circle. The interrogator flagged it. It went into a file, and then it appeared again, in a separate report, from a different detainee, from a different year, the same alias, the same description, from sources who had no contact with each other. Something was there. The question was what? Before that question could be answered, it helped to understand exactly what kind of system bin Laden had built, because the courier was not just a convenience, he was the only crack in an otherwise sealed wall. No one in bin Laden's immediate household used a phone or a computer. Visitors were not permitted. Supplies were sourced locally. Messages were written by hand, physically carried by the courier to a location far from wherever bin Laden was hiding, and only then transferred to electronic communication. Any intercept would trace back to a city, not an address. The compound was engineered to blend in. Located in Abbottabad, a mid-sized Pakistani garrison city, not a known jihadist stronghold, it sat in an ordinary residential neighborhood. The building was large, but not impossible to explain for a wealthy family. The walls were high, but not unheard of. The residents paid in cash, interacted with neighbors quietly, and did nothing that would automatically raise an alert. The system was almost perfectly invisible. Almost. The courier had to move, and movement could be tracked. By 2007, the alias finally began to attach to a real person. Abu Ahmed al-Kuwaiti was believed to be Ibrahim Saeed Ahmed, a Pakistani man with roots in Kuwait and connections deep inside Al-Qaeda's network. For the first time, the alias had a face, a history, and somewhere, a route. Years of patient cross-referencing followed. His known contacts, his family connections, his travel history. For a long time, he remained disciplined and elusive, careful in a way that suggested he knew exactly what careful needed to look like. Then, in 2010, a CIA asset reportedly made phone contact with him. The conversation was unremarkable, but it confirmed he was alive and operating inside Pakistan. Analysts began tracking the phone's signal as it moved across the country. Peshawar, Rawalpindi, smaller towns between them. Week after week, the signal traced routes through Pakistan's interior, never settling, never staying long enough to anchor. Then the phone went dark. Ahmed had stopped using it. The signal disappeared. After years of work, it felt for a moment like another dead end, another thread that had gone cold just as it was getting warm. But before it went silent, the signal had placed him, repeatedly across multiple separate trips, in the vicinity of one specific city, Abbottabad. In August 2010, surveillance teams located Ibrahim Saeed Ahmed in Peshawar and followed him as he drove. Not toward the Afghan border, not toward any known operational area, toward a quiet residential street in Abbottabad. He turned into a compound and went inside. The satellite imagery that followed told a story through details. A main structure of 3 to 4 stories, too large for an ordinary household. Perimeter walls between 3 and 5 meters high, topped with additional barriers. 2 security gates. No telephone lines running from the street. No visible internet infrastructure. The compound had been built around 2005. The residents paid cash for everything. They had no listed phone number, and they burned their trash inside the courtyard walls because garbage left outside could be collected, analyzed, and turned into intelligence. Whoever lived here had thought about every angle. Not a cave, not a battlefield, not a terrorist camp, a quiet house in a military town, hiding in plain sight. The CIA watched the compound for months without finding a definitive answer. Surveillance teams mapped the daily routines of the residents. 2 families occupied different sections of the building. And then there was a third figure, a tall man in traditional clothing who moved through a small vegetable garden inside the compound walls. He never left the property, not once. No mosque, no market, no car. When he walked in the garden, he stayed close to the walls, as if aware that the open sky above him was a risk. Internally, the analysts called him the pacer. Attempts to get closer came up empty. The compound's design made ground-level surveillance almost impossible. Efforts to retrieve DNA or identifying material from the property failed. Recruiting a source with access to the building was not possible. The residents had no social circle, no outside relationships, no visible point of entry. The National Geospatial Intelligence Agency studied the compound's architecture against known Al-Qaeda safehouse patterns. Medical profilers estimated the pacer's height from satellite imagery, reportedly between 1.9 and 1.95 meters, consistent with bin Laden's known physical profile. None of it was proof, but all of it pointed the same way. By early 2011, the CIA's internal assessment placed the probability that bin Laden was inside the compound at somewhere between 60 and 80%. That number carried enormous weight and enormous uncertainty. A 60 to 80% probability meant there was still a real chance they were wrong, that the pacer was someone else, that the compound was hiding a senior Al-Qaeda figure, important but not the target. The options on the table each carried a different kind of risk. A drone strike would destroy the compound, but it would also destroy any physical evidence, making it nearly impossible to confirm the identity of whoever was killed. If it was bin Laden, the world might never know for certain. If it wasn't, the strike would be an internationally visible catastrophe with nothing to show for it. Continued surveillance was safer, but the longer they watched, the greater the chance that whoever was inside would move. Osama bin Laden had evaded detection for nearly 10 years. If he sensed any change in the atmosphere around him, he would disappear again. And the next trail might not appear for another decade. A ground raid was the most dangerous option. It meant sending a team into Pakistani territory without the Pakistani government's knowledge or consent, based on probability rather than certainty. If the intelligence was wrong, the diplomatic and political consequences would be severe. If something went wrong inside the compound, there would be no way to quietly pull back. On April 29, 2011, President Obama made the decision. 2 nights later, on May 2nd, a team of Navy SEALs flew into Abbottabad in modified stealth helicopters, landed inside the compound walls, and moved through the building floor by floor. On the 3rd floor, they found the man they had been searching for. Osama bin Laden was killed in the raid. He was 54 years old and had reportedly been living inside the Abbottabad compound for an estimated 5 to 6 years. Ibrahim Saeed Ahmed, the courier whose movement had started the final chain of events, was also killed during the operation. The raid lasted approximately 40 minutes. Hard drives, documents, and storage devices were removed from the compound before the team withdrew. The material recovered reportedly included operational planning files and correspondence with Al-Qaeda's broader leadership. Pakistan's government was informed only after the operation was complete. The revelation that bin Laden had been living in a purpose-built compound in a Pakistani garrison city for years, apparently undetected, created a serious diplomatic rupture between Islamabad and Washington that took years to begin to heal. The search for bin Laden lasted 9 years, 8 months, and 20 days, from the September 11th attacks to the night of the Abbottabad raid. In that time, the intelligence community reportedly intercepted vast volumes of global communications, deployed some of the most advanced surveillance technology ever built, and spent billions of dollars on the effort. In the end, the breakthrough did not come from one perfect piece of technology. It came from connecting small fragments over years, and from one human weakness inside an almost invisible system. Osama bin Laden had removed every digital thread, but he could not remove the human one. Someone still had to carry the messages, and in the end, that one human thread led America straight to his door.